Hachayo Noel, hello everyone and welcome back to the Maya de Equipa. I'm Eduardo Ferronato, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Mayan Cross. What is it? What is its purpose? And what are the misconceptions involved in this counting? If you're new to my channel, I have a playlist in here with some videos where I talk about fundamental principles to start diving into the Maya calendar. So you can get familiar every time I say something like Nawal, something like Ushlab, Tresena, or like today, Probor, in which we're going to be diving a little bit later. So there you can find some videos to start learning about the Maya calendar, its basic principles, based on original indigenous traditions, not with something that is commonly spread in the most touristic areas of Guatemala, and then also what is widespread in the books, so-called with Mayan astrology. So in here, I share the knowledge of my lineage that comes from Nawal, Guatemala, through the teachings of my tat, Apabianteo, for 7 years and counting. And I have been working as a day keeper, a spiritual guide, guiding people in personal development, business development, and everything that the Maya calendar can help us guiding through life. So without further ado, let's just hop into the main topic of this video. So the Mayan Cross is not a term that is used among the Maya people who are living into the ancient traditions. This is a concept that was popularized by an Guatemalan author that was trained as an ahir, but he's very controversial because of the way that he teaches, the things that were lacking that in the form that he was presenting. So it's not very well accepted among all of the Mayas. So this is something that is more talked about through these new age traditions of the Maya, or like the new ways that they keep teaching tourists whenever they are looking for some guidance in here. So this became a market that took over those areas. In the model presented by this author, in which I'm not going to be mentioning what is his name, but he's very famous, he presented this system as only with 5 Nawals. But in the real knowledge, this same system has 9 Nawals. And again, it's not called a Mayan Cross, but a Chobor. Remember when I mentioned that we'll be talking about this word? Is a Chobor. What is a Chobor? Chobor means something thought within a concept. Like imagining like multiple voices in a table, just like a board meeting. So some people are going to be more loud, expressing their ideas. Some's going to be more silent, but yet all we're going to be contributing to this shared understanding. So this is what means Chobor in Quiche. Just like the body too. The body through the Mayas, it's seen as a container of Nawals, or how we said in the ancient times, a container of winds. So we call it Nawals as a way to talk about consciousness, a way to talk about energy, a spirit, entity. So these spiritual forces that influence all our existence. So the Chobor is not about charts. It's not about creating diagrams, as you can see here. It's about a deeper, dynamic understanding of elements that make up life. This is a Chobor. And you can break down this in the layers. Chobor is the understanding elements through a collective thought. So as I was giving the example of the board of people coming to arrive to a conclusion. That comes from Chob, that means understanding through different elements within something. From this, also we have something that we can call Chobonik, which is the act of divination using the quartz or the zitis, which are the sacred seeds, to track the flow of time. And also another way that you can hear they talking about this corporation, this Chobor, is Chomach, that means to ponder, reflecting in both inner and outer realities. This is a Chomach. So you can hear that as either a Chobor or a Chomach, so we are talking about the same corporation. So the Chobor isn't a tool for prediction, but rather a spiritual counsel to understand balance, creation, and cycles of life more deeply. This is what the Chobor is about. The Chobor can be used to understanding dreams, their origins. I'm going to be giving more practical examples as we go on. We can use the Chobor for receiving spiritual news and guidance. We can use to reflect on the life events and how they shapes us. The Chobor can also be used to track the days and also exploring the compositions of our Nawals. Whenever we understand ourselves or now of birth, is to understand pregnancy, how consciousness, started, how we start observing the world through the relationship of our parents, how we were taking for our mother's energy to come to life. So the Chobor is also a way to talk about the elements that we need to come to an agreement and a balance for adapt to something or for levels of survival even. So these are some elements that the Chobor can go and explore. And also the Chobor is also a way for you to practice the understanding of the Nawals as a whole. Something that is very important here to be said is that no Nawal makes sense isolated. Everything is, as it's said in one of the basic Maya principles, is everything belongs to a system. Nothing exists isolated. I'll be making a video talking about the basic Maya principles because they are the gold to understand, to really dive in and to really enter to the Maya calendar more than in a rational level. Let me share this screen here so you can have a more practical vision of what I'm talking about. So here we have the image of the Chobor with 9 elements to be understood. Because this is a very extensive topic, I only gonna be focusing in this video, in this middle column here, which is gonna be enough to start having a basic understanding of what the Chobor is. Instead of talking about past and future, on how he's talking about in the Mayan Cross concept, or talking about feminine and masculine, this is divided in different ways. Here we call the Tikishik, that means inception, that talks about the ignition, the force that sparks a process. We also have the K'amal B'e Nawals, in which is going to be talking about like the guide of the road, is the leading Nawal. Can also be the birth Nawal, but we can also see the guiding Nawal, or maybe of an event that is happening, depending on how we talk about this Nawal. This is the one that leads, is the center of the corporation. And we have the conceptual Nawal, the Tior Laben, which talks about the development and the unfolding of the process. So these 3 forces, the Tikishik, the Inception Nawal, the K'amal B'e, the guiding or birth Nawal, the Tior Laben Nawal, which is the conceptual Nawal, these are the 3 forces that help you understand the dynamics at play in any given situation, whether it's a life event, whether it's the realm of pregnancy, where there is a relationship, a dream, or even to understand the understanding of the leading Nawal, as I was mentioning before. So these are the main Nawals. And how we arrive to these countings to find the Inception and the Conception Nawals? It's very simple. We use the novenas, it's the 9 days counting. So let's take for example here the Humbat day, the 1 monkey. So from 1 monkey to arrive to the Inception Nawal, we count 9 Nawals backwards. And to arrive to the Conception Nawals, we count 9 Nawals forwards, in which we arrive the Belair Kawuk, the sheet lightning, 9 sheet lightning. So to understand Bat, we can use the Chobor to see how Bat is thought in the Maya philosophy. Bats can be defined by connecting the dots, by putting things into action, is the node or the net of work and ideas, is about all of these interconnections that we make in life. But also talks about the process that leads us to get entangled when the ideas start getting knots or just feel full with many different things, heavy work that can lead to frustration or implosions. So this is a heavy Nawal to start with. The need to connect the dots, to they arise to an understanding through seeing something that is in here and picking the other something that is in there. So in what gives ignition for Nawal Bats, it's the Nawal K'amal. I'm not going to be mentioning the numbers right now to make it easier to go through this process, only analyzing the nominal Nawals, in which you give the names. So the Nawal of clarity, we talk about what is in the dark, and it needs to come with the light to clarify. Is the twilight, is what is hidden also in the darkness, can be the information that you choose to stay in the darkness to use to obtain power. So it's the act of ruling. So it's the act of going to something that, make you interested and make a research to clarify. So that's about going with the light to the darkness. So K'amal is this deep research to understand something. And Ka'uk, the shit lightning, it's about the deep intuition. It's about the tunnel vision. It's how you see the big picture in front of you, something that you download straight from the Ushlab shell, the deeper consciousness. They didn't require a process of thinking for you to arrive at. So to understand Bats, we get something that is gestating in the darkness, that is K'amal, to the tunnel vision, to the end goal from the big picture. So let's say that in this Humbat, one monkey, I started putting into action the consideration of really starting writing a book. So that process of starting writing a book didn't start actually on the Humbat. Maybe it was something that was gaining more weight, you are looking for a path to start that. But to understand the ignition of these that arrive at you at Humbat could be something that was being pondered, like 6 to ponder in K'amal, between light and darkness, something that maybe you could be learning before, but you didn't have a clear intention. You didn't know that maybe you could use that knowledge later on to teach. So the ignition of that was something that you weren't even thinking before. So K'amal brings this realm of something that was being pondered between light and darkness, something that was gestating, to see the light of day. Or the same thing, how I approach the Maya calendar. Like when I started just getting involved with indigenous communities, indigenous ethnicities, I barely even knew that this would lead me to arrive to the Maya calendar for the indigenous traditions. And now today start teaching you about that. But it was something that was initiated in this element. And not saying that it's not related to only to the birth now of a person, but this can be related to explain any person with any Nawal, but as a process that could happen. And then here, as we start, you already get some visions. You have the tunnel vision of the book Dawn. You have the vision that could be gestating, quietly over there of the final product, like maybe the feeling of having something. So you have the tunnel vision for that idea. So what Bats does, it gets what's being gestated over there through the final vision and connects the dots. How can you use what was being learned so far to arrive to the vision? So every single fresh action in this is decomposing this gestation of this big intuition, gestation of this vision. So this is the way to approach the Chobor, to think about things are being developed over there. But this is just a very simple example to use for you to get used to this concept of something that initiates and something that develops. As I was mentioning, nothing exists in isolation in the Maya calendar. Everything belongs to a system. So to understand a Nawal, these other Nawals, they always gonna be helping understanding Bats. You know, all of them helps to give sense to what the Nawal Bats is, how Nawal Bats express. So it's a collective thought. Or just like, as I like to use the example, if you take, let's say Bats, it's a pill, and then you just go to the microscope to really see through all of the elements that compose the formula of that pill and what is its purpose. So this is a way for you to try to understand what is a chobor. Okay, let's see another example with another Nawal. Let's take Nawal. Nawal is the Nawal of the transformation, the Nawal of the changes. In the Maya thought, you can understand the Nawal by the conceptualization of being the Nawal of adaptation. It's a Nawal that also talks about adaptation and survival. It's how you need to go through a process, a very unpleasant process, to get out of a place where maybe you don't belong anymore, or you're not accepted, or it doesn't work anymore, to find ways to go through. Other ways where you have to put in practice, the most boring parts that makes you bitter. So it's how you go through this process, or to find what's lacking inside of you. So it's the process of incompleteness, what guides you to change something, or to try either because you are bored, or because you want to innovate something. So Nawal is this transformation. To understand Nawal, we understand the Inception Nawal, in which is K'an, the stellar serpent. K'an is the Nawal of the intervention, is the Nawal that is associated with the sound of the thunder, the announce of changes in nature. So it's an announcement. It's something that comes to warn you, of a possible danger or an enemy. So it's the wrath of the sky announcing that you need to change. So it's better you get prepared. Just like the thunder announced that it's going to rain, like the weather is going to change. So this is Nawal K'an. It's about the intervention. It could be also something that it comes as your counter flow to go against you, to shape you. And then we have as a conceptual Nawal, the Nawal Imosh, which is the Nawal of the water, or the Nawal of the left hand, in which can be understood in the conceptualization as the Nawal of the flow, of the injection of force to making something grow or bloom. So it's the power of water to germinate the seed, but it's also the power that can also dissolve things, because that's the power of the water, to even give strength or to dilute the essence of the other. So now Imosh talks about a lot of power, but with little control. So that's why it's connected to the left hand, talking about what you do in imprecision. Like with a weaker hand, with your less trained side, whenever you think you could handle something, but that something is bigger than you, so you lose the dosage that you have to use. So and that leads to madness, that can lead to overflow. That's the essence of Nawal Imosh. It's about the flow, the continuous give life, continuous inject force. It can be also reflected as inspiration. Can he also spoke about as the sea of consciousness, in which we share, we pick up thoughts. Sometimes we think that it's only ours. Sometimes we are drinking from the same source. So this is what Imosh talks about. But Imosh talks about what comes in and makes you misinterpret something, or to catch like something that is from the other for yourself. So you can go a little bit away with those ideas. You can go too far in this abstract world. And this can be something that leads Imosh to madness. So to understand now through these two, we talk about the need of an intervention that is coming from Nawal K'an, something that got you, something that makes you, that disturbs you on the inside. It makes you shake from the inside. And this creates the unpleasant sensation, the bitter taste. It makes you go out of your comfort zone and have to think about a change. This is what makes the ignition of Nawal. And to understand, the Nawal needs to create this adaptability, these ways to survival, these ways to innovate, to be clever, to be able to handle the flow that is going to be coming, as now Khan announced. So it's about how we can project the growth, how we can go and hold up with yourself to adapt to challenging scenarios where things can be overflowing, where you can be misunderstood about your ideas, where it can make you change your current. So that talks about the adaptability that you need to have to handle when things goes out of control. Sometimes you have time to act into something to change its development, but you need, like Nawal here, to make sense. So to understand Nawal, you need to understand all of these elements together. But here you can have a base on how the Chobor is used. So another dimension that you can enter to talk about the Chobor, it is whenever we talk about pregnancy, we enter to the understanding of how the mother was dealing with the situations. So talks about how was the realm of the father as well, and what they treat or the trials to balance these forces. So sometimes more balanced Nawals will be, or balanced people will sometimes have more troublemakers Nawals in the Chobor, because they are looking for more dynamic ways to experience life. While on the other hand, with more problematic, cases of pregnancies, can also require a more supportive Nawals in the Chobor to come into balance. But the key here is how every single Chobor, every single Nawal shows this aspect of how to maintain balance into something, how to correct something that was shaking during the pregnancy, so you can learn how to use your own skills to survive in the world. So let's dive this a little bit more. So let's say that here you need to understand pregnancy. One realm talks about how it's Inception, how we came together, how this consciousness started being developed, what the father or the complement of the mother was doing, and how the mother was absorbing in the conception. So you can arrive to understand how was pregnancy. So this gives a lot of, understanding of the possibilities of what happened in there, to arrive to how you choose the way that you choose, how you make sense of the things, so where you get lost in life. So this is how we used to think through that. It's not about just saying some copy and paste stuff. This is a way to guide our thoughts to arrive to a conclusion. As I said, nothing exists in isolation. So everything has an inception and a conception that gives birth into something. This is very important. And this is something that I'm going to be adding more into the next video that I'll be making about the basic principles. So very quick, another thing that the Chobor can be used is to understand the events, but also to understand dreams. Very quick, for this video not becoming too extensive. Let's say, if you dream in something on the Nawal Oshib-Ah, tree transformation. Tree-Ah is the Nawal that, intercept the dream. But the dreams also, they don't come out of nothing. They have the Nawal who initiated that, who sent the dream. And that is Washakib Khan, 8 stellar serpent. And this will send, just like it's just throwing a ball for this Nawal here, the conceptual Nawal, the possible development, which is Hulaur Imosh, which is the multiple, directions of the water, the multiple directions of the flow. So this will be talking about the development Nawal. So now Ah intercepts the dreams to understanding something that is initiating and how is the potential development of something. Because depending on the type of the dream, which is something that I'm not going to be touching here because this is a whole nother realm to talk about. But depending on the type of dream that can be analyzed through this, you can guide to see what you can do, see how you can approach the dream. Sometimes there is something that you can do about it. Sometimes there is something that you cannot do anything about it. So this will give the guide to ponder about what was the type of dream and what you can do about and how you connect. Because during dreams is the moment where our Ushlab leaves the body, can travel beyond time and space, and connects with the Nawals, can go to the future, can go and talk about the past. So you travel without boundaries. And the dreams use our memories as a way of communication to all warn us about something. So in dreams, it's not about the plot many times of the dreams, but how those elements there shake us. It's how we understand those elements. But I think I already answered too much. I don't want to confuse you more in this topic. So you understand that now the send the dream, who intercepted the dream, and what could be developing that. Oh, and before I forget, like there is something that is a very big misconception spread about that when talking about this system. It is, some places say that this is the childhood energy or the past energy, and this is the future or child or elderly energy, and that this is the adult, something like that. The shifts between 13, 26 years. So nothing about that is said, nothing like that is approached, in the Maya communities. This doesn't make sense, changing the Nawal, because this will be talking about the conditions of pregnancy first and foremost. So you cannot change something that happened over there. So this is a tremendous misconception that is spoken. So you don't shift your Nawal. But there is a accounting that we call the Nima Chobalkir, which is the biorhythms of the sun, that talks about how we shift until our elderly ages, how we transit to really get our experiences with the Nawals. But this is a subject for another video. So again, the Chobor is used to understand the roots of our personal challenges. It can be used to reflect on life patterns. It can be used for personal development, to gain more self-awareness, to explore like these different elements that were originated during pregnancy. But for this, I think we already, got many examples here to understand the Chobor, to what is used, how we can guide our way of thinking through life. Even if you're not using the Maya calendar, try to always understand that it's always an inception and a conception, an ignition and a development of something that you are working in the present. So it's a way for you to think through that to arrive to your conclusions. So it's not about linear thinking, past and future, about that. So this goes back and forth all the time, interconnecting and making sense to one another in the present moment. This is the Chobor. Okay? And if you're interested to learn more about the Maya calendar or to learn more about your Nawal, to understand your life path through this Maya knowledge, through this Maya wisdom, you can go to my website, mayathekeeper.me, and book one of the consultations or email me to talk about any other directions you would like to see in here. So I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, don't forget your thumbs up, because it helps a lot in the spreading of this content. And also subscribe to my channel if you enjoy what I post here. Wishing you all a great day and see you on my next video. Mautiosh.